Hey folks, Karyn Bryant here with Cory Sandhagen taking on Aljamain Sterling at UFC 250. Cory, this is a massive fight. I was just saying before we started rolling here that it's an important fight for the division and also one where I feel like the fans here are really excited and really win. But how do you feel about getting matched up with Aljamain?
Yeah, I mean, it was one that we were, had kind of been in the works for a little bit
Yeah,
now. But yeah, I was excited that I'm really excited that it's actually happening. I'm sure Aljamain's really excited to fight. He hasn't fought in a really long time.
hmm,
I haven't fought since August, which is a really long time for me also. So,
yeah,
yeah, man, I'm really excited. I think stylistically we have a lot of we bring a lot of the same advantages to the
hmm,
fight, and that's always interesting to see whose advantages are better than the other ones. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a good fight.
yeah. It is interesting that you brought up a lot of things there just in that sentence. One thing I want to talk about is that layoff for you. Yeah, the fact is, you're on a tear in the UFC, right? Undefeated in the UFC, 5-0 in the UFC. You start winning, you're getting names like Lineker, you're getting Munoz and all this, and you're starting to, Assuncao rather. Sorry. And so you're on this tear and you're supposed to get Frankie Edgar and you're having all this momentum and all of these things are leading forward for you. Then we don't get the Frankie fight. Then you're supposed to get something else scheduled in January. Then COVID hits. So how hard has this been for you to
Yeah.
stay positive and try to keep this momentum going when now you got all of this just thrown on you to make you stop?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't stressful and it
Yeah,
didn't kind of I didn't have my days where I was like, can I just catch a break? Can I
yeah,
just get a contract signed by someone and
right.
just have a date, you know? Because this is what I love to do. I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy going out and fighting, and it's kind of been a bummer that it's been postponed for so
Yeah,
long. But yeah, I mean, I try to stay as simple as I can. So I try to be, oh, okay, well, this isn't happening. How long am I going to let myself be upset about it?
mm-hmm.
And with the Frankie thing, it was probably about 3 hours, 2 hours,
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, I'm over it, whatever, you know. And then same thing with all this quarantine
yeah,
chaos, I guess you can call it, is where it's just more of a thing where it's like, I mean, I can waste my energy being really upset about this,
mm-hmm.
or I can kind of just stay optimistic and then just keep preparing myself best I can. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing.
Well, that's a great outlook on it, and to be sure, there is the upside, which is the nagging injuries and stuff that can go away, right? I mean, that is one thing that I've found for people has been the upside is the forced time off has just made you kind of relax or address some things or feel better about some things as well.
Not me. I don't take too many relaxes. For me, everything on I'm a bit obsessive with like me making sure that I'm on top of my projects,
Yeah,
and like my projects are just the things I'm trying to get better at.
yeah,
And I'm pretty obsessive about that. So I mean, I've maybe had like less punches to the head, which I suppose is probably good for me.
yeah, 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 for sure.
That's definitely good. But as far as like me taking a break from my progression, that hasn't stopped.
Yeah, good, good. Well, and one thing too that now we know we don't have a champion in the division, right? So for a long time, it seemed that nobody would take you. Well, this is what I would hear anyways, that people don't want to fight you because you're too dangerous and your name wasn't big enough and the risk versus the reward wasn't there, right? So have you found that that was still the case? I mean, because it seems like Aljo, at least now knowing that we need a champion, right? Did that help? That helped things move, right? Help people say yes to you, help you get fights. I mean, people are calling each other out. It's helping you get some movement at least, right?
Yeah, I think it restores some order not
Yeah.
having kind of Henry around anymore because his first choice was Aldo and his second choice was Cruz, which
Right.
both guys are coming off losses. And I mean, I'm sure that you've heard the argument a million times,
Yeah.
just like I have. But yeah, I mean, it feels like order has been restored. It feels
Yeah.
like I kind of saw myself maybe 2 or 3 fights away from fighting for a
Okay.
belt realistically, and now I see myself just one fight away from
Mhm.
winning a belt realistically, and I think it's good for everyone, kind of. I think that it benefits most of us that it feels like now we can kind of just hit the restart button. Uh, it seems like it should be this race to who can get it first. For me, that's not really what it is, but you definitely hit the restart button on everything, and that's kind of a nice feeling because I mean it aligns the capability for yourself to become a star.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and look at Henry did a lot of great things in his time as champion and did bring a lot of attention to the division, which is great. As a reminder for people, so the top five in there, obviously we had him. We have Marlon Moraes, Aljamain, Jan, then you, then Rafael, then Aldo. That's our top 6 there. So we know that some of these names you've already beaten. Some of these other people have started to, match up with each other. There was talk that maybe it was going to be Jan and Aldo for the vacant title. So why did you think you were a couple fights away? Because we have seen sometimes people, at number 7 get title shots and stuff. So why did you still think you had to have a couple more fights?
Just because I know that I don't bring the biggest name value.
Okay.
Like I'm not stupid. I know that that's like, if I had 1 million followers on Instagram maybe, or if I was more of a household name, then I think that I would 100% be way more in the talks than what I am now. And that's okay. Like that comes with the territory. That is earned just as much as like all of your wins are earned, and just like anything else. So it's just a time thing, and I don't stress about it. I think that I'm fairly likable, and I might not make as much noise or say as many crazy things as some of the people. And but I like who I am, and I think other people are too. It's just a matter of did I cut out there?
No, your screen froze up, but I can still hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
It's just a matter of putting in the time. Like I haven't been here that long. It's just a matter of putting in the time, and yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of nice to see somebody who's not in a hurry. Tony Ferguson was like that as well. And he was always saying, I'll just fight the guy that's ahead of me, and I won't, take anything that I haven't earned. We know, Tony's a warrior, and obviously this last fight didn't go his way, but I think there is a lot of respect in that, and just keeping your head down and stuff. I mean, obviously social media, things do get going, and Aldo is a guy that does like to talk. So it does seem like he is going to try to stir it up a little bit. I mean, you guys are going to probably engage in a little bit of smack talk or head game stuff before this, no? Or what? Do you think in the age of COVID now, it's like we're not going to have as much of that?
I don't care now. I signed a contract and he signed a contract, so I really don't care about it anymore. At this point, the only benefit that you're going to get from something like that is some type of mental edge that you perhaps think that you're gaining in talking trash to someone, which I don't. It doesn't bother me, Like, and if it does bother me, it bothers me for 5 minutes, and then I just go on with whatever I was doing. Right. So I don't care for it. I think that we're a bunch of dogs trying to get the same bone. And sometimes you have to bark, and sometimes you have to fight, and there's a time to bark and there's a time to fight. And right now, both of our contracts are signed. I don't really feel the need to bark anymore. Yeah. Before, it was like, if I don't say anything, I'm going to get overlooked. So I need to stick up for myself. So any talking that I was doing, it was only with the attempt of me being like, hey, I'm here too. Like I'm a part of this conversation as well. And it's really interesting, especially with the day of social media that we have, is there's a lot of group think. And if you let a narrative run too wild, then the group is going to go along with that narrative, and it's your own fault if you don't put yourself in that narrative and kind of challenge people's group thinking and making them critically think.
Yep. No, you're very right on that. Critical thinking, though, is something that a lot of folks struggle with. So
yeah, I mean, we all do. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, obviously, too, there's a whole bunch of different things that come into play now with this fight. What have they told you about where it's happening?
They told me Vegas. My contract says Vegas.
Okay, right. Because we know.
Is that what you heard?
No, I'm just saying, because there's still things are still up in the air and stuff like it's tricky. So has that? I mean, it is a kind of a little bit more of a layer of stress, but like the Fight Island, how do you feel about that? What if they say, no, this one's going to be on Fight Island instead, we're going?
I mean, I'd rather not fly halfway across the world and fight. I'd rather fight just on, one of my really close state neighbors. I'd rather fight there, and I'd rather fight somewhere that isn't going to make me pay a huge state tax. So, as long as those kind of things are checked off the checking list, I'm okay with fighting wherever. And I mean, Florida was good. Florida doesn't have a state tax. Yeah. Vegas doesn't have a state tax, and there's no crowd anyways. So like, what would be a motive to go somewhere anyways? Anywhere that we travel to, that would be cool. We can't go to restaurants and bars anyways. So, yeah, just as long as it doesn't have too much of a state tax, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope it all works out and goes really smoothly. And have you had any issues though with training? Because that is the other thing is, did you quarantine with training partners, or do you feel okay with taking various risks and things like that? So what has your preparation been like for this one? It feels like obviously it's almost an 8-month camp, 9-month camp. I don't know.
Yeah, right. So I have 3 training partners, and then I have 4 coaches that I've been seeing. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's too many people. A bunch of the guys on the team have kind of already fought, right? Like Reem, Drew,
Right.
Gaethje.
Yep.
They all fought. None of them tested positive for the corona, which kind of made me feel a little bit better too, because this circle that we've all been staying in has been more or less the same circle. So that's how I've been running things. Honestly, I think it's been even a little bit better for me just because I'm getting a lot more personal attention, and I'm able to spend however long I want on the topics that I want. I can train for 2 hours and like really like hammer something home that I'm working on, or I can where before it was like, hey, we're doing this hour and a half long practice, and then that's kind of it. But it's been fun making my own schedule. I get to wake up in the morning and kind of like check my Whoop. Do you know what a Whoop is? The Whoop, it's like this recovery training thing, but it tells you your recovery based off of your heart rate's variation
Oh, okay.
and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, but it's cool because I get to kind of like choose the days of when I'm most recovered to like really blast it out, where that's not usually the case in other circumstances. So I think it's been, I wouldn't say better, just because I don't have as many bodies as I'd maybe like, but as far as like learning, this is better for learning this style of training.
Look at the payoff is definitely there. You just mentioned a couple of your teammates who are doing great things, Drew and Justin. Sometimes you see at a team, a camp, momentum, right? You'll see ebbs and flows. We've had super teams and then they fall off or something. So what do you think it is right now that you guys are collectively just doing right, that you all seem to just be excelling all at the same time?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that we all really care about each other, which I think is a little bit different than maybe it's been in the past. And I think all of our coaches are very on the same page, which I sometimes see to not be the case with some teams. So I think I would associate it to that. I think I would say a lot of our success would be our coaches all being on the same page, and I think the second thing would be is that we're not the biggest team, so we have this really tight-knit feel, and I know that I probably get a little bit happier maybe for my teammates' success as I do for my own success. So and I think that everyone else feels the same way that I do. So I think that there's this understanding of if they're not getting better, then I'm not getting better. So it's this kind of like everyone's helping everyone type of feeling. And yeah, it's nice.
Cool. That sounds cool. Now listen, for fun, what have you been doing? I mean, we have all been locked down for the most part, and I know you are in Colorado and some things are loosening up, but like, did you take any deep dives on Netflix or anything like that? Like find a new hobby or anything? Because there had to be something else that you did. You can't train 24/7.
Yeah, so the beginning of quarantine was rough because it was still snowing here.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, and that was really bad because you couldn't do anything outside. Now the weather's beautiful, so I can do stuff outside, but it's been 2 things. We got a puppy. We got a little puppy corgi.
Yeah, cute.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
a Pembroke
really
Welsh or with the tail or no tail?
No tail.
No tail. Cute.
Yeah, no tail. Super, super cute. So that's been really fun to play with and hang out with. It's been that, and then the 2 shows I've been going hard on are Narcos on Netflix. Did you watch Narcos?
I did. I've seen bits and pieces, and I know it's good, but I haven't gone in on all of it. No.
It's insane. Yeah, that show is insane. I watched both seasons of that pretty quickly.
Yeah,
and
nice.
And then the other show me and my girlfriend and my roommate have been watching is Survivor. You watch Survivor?
Oh, like Survivor?
Yeah, like CBS Survivor.
No, I don't. You know what's funny? I used to do a show with Jeff Probst. We worked together years and years ago at the FX network. And so I'd be lying, Corey, if I said every time I saw Survivor, I didn't like twitch a little and be like, oh my God, I must be a kingmaker. Because it's actually happened a lot that people I've worked with have gone on to like great success. So yeah, Jeff Probst, we used to work together, and he's doing pretty well, I hear. That show is
yeah,
couple of viewers.
Jeff. So we've probably watched in this quarantine, me, my girlfriend, and my roommate, we've probably watched at least 5 seasons.
Oh
but
my
probably
God.
probably close to 6. It's like what we do from 7 o'clock till 10 o'clock. We just binge on Survivor. It's a phenomenal show.
I mean, it tells you a lot about human nature, I suppose, right?
It does, yeah. It's really interesting. It's like, I don't know. I could go on and on about it. But yeah, Survivor, that's what we've been kind of binging out on.
Yeah, well, like I said, so for me, maybe from the very beginning, I didn't watch it because I was pissed off. You know what I mean? And so then, like, that boat sailed away, and I was just like, Argh. But I mean, Jeff's a cool guy. Like I said, it's not about person, but you're like, I can't believe he got that job. Whatever. I didn't. Whatever. But okay, so I would recommend Ozark if you haven't seen Ozark.
I've heard really good things about it.
A lot of people talking about that one. That one is really great. I don't know if you have what else you might like then if you like those kind of things. I don't know. Ozark is good though. I mean, we were thinking of going back and watching The Shield from the beginning, which is a great cop show, like Dirty Cops and stuff like that. And I have the whole DVD set, so we were thinking about going back and starting that from the beginning. But you didn't do Tiger King?
I did Tiger King.
You did?
I did it, but I don't even like talking about it because I hated it so much.
Okay.
Did you? You look like
I watched one episode, and we only barely made it through the one episode, and I was like, I know I'm on lockdown, but like life's too short to spend this much time with these people. Like I didn't want to.
It was trash.
Yeah,
it was trash. It was 100% complete trash, and even at the end, I wanted like some type of gratification that I would maybe like one of these characters, and that never comes either. So it's just like. It's just like the trashiest of the trash shows.
Yeah, I think that's why I was like, why do I? There's no redemption, right, at the end, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Whatever. Listen, we're excited. You're gonna throw hands. I know it's gonna sound like it's weird to go. I worked the Brasilia show and there's no crowd and there's nobody there, and like it's funny to see, like, hey, make some noise for everybody, and like your instincts are all still there. But obviously when it comes down to showtime, you always deliver. So I think it's going to be a great, do you have any prediction? Like, what do you actually expect out of this? Cause I think it's going to go for a little while, right? I think you guys will get a round and a half out of each other. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think your guess is as good as mine. I'm really interested. I mean, like I said, I think that me and him have a lot of the same advantages as far as like, he's kind of got a footwork based game, and then he also is taller than most of his opponents and all of that. And I mean, I'm really interested to see what his strategy is in the fight. I think that I mean, obviously I think that I'm better than he is, right? So I think that while we do have very paired advantages, I think that I do those advantages a little bit better, but who knows? Or he'll submit me, or he'll knock me out, or he'll get a decision, who knows? But I think it's going to be a good fight, and any time that there's a fight where those advantages kind of are similar, everyone gets really pumped about. So, I guess we'll all see.
Yeah, and seriously, and that's why I say hopefully we get a round and a half. It's not out of any disrespect to you guys' skill set. It's that I think you are well matched, and I think it's going to be hard for you to get rid of each other, if that makes sense. Like it's not going to be an easy fight.
Yeah, definitely both defensive-minded guys.
Right. Awesome. Well, speaking of defense, wash your hands a lot, Corey. Stay safe out there, travel safely and everything. But really looking forward to this. Hopefully it all does go down in Vegas, UFC 250, you and Aldo. So again, thanks so much, and best of luck.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on.
All right, cool. Thanks, Corey.